There we go. Welcome back to Exploring Dorian, the first episode, the second part. So, Dorian, two-part question. Um, which dating apps would you recommend, if any? And how do people make sure that they don't get catfished?
So dating apps, it's kind of, they all really suck just because dating
Oh,
sucks. But
okay.
there are different apps. I'm not up to date on like the new ones because when I was in the height, it was Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, and there's another one I'm leaving out, but like
We have plenty of
those
fish.
were the thing. And me personally, I like Bumble because it makes women make the first move, and
Okay.
that's going to be better for me just because one, I can filter out if a girl's just sending me a hey, it's like so you're not really interested, you're fishing to see what's out there.
Right.
But if somebody sends me something engaging,
Okay.
it'll be an entirely different standpoint. And typically in dating apps, like I just match the energy. If you're giving me 10% energy, okay, fine, I'll give you 10% energy. And then if it goes nowhere, I'm like, okay, fine, cool.
Yeah.
Um,
Sounds smart.
and
Interesting.
I can't speak because, like, for guys, like, we don't get as many matches as women. We just don't.
Right.
Because we just don't. But, and it's different for them. Like, I've heard they have an entirely different outlook on dating apps, but like
Yeah.
having downloaded Grinder and like use that for like exploring my sexuality, and like I realized how many dick pics you can get in an hour.
Oh, wow.
So I don't really think there's any particular dating apps. Just try them all and see what works and kind of see the different flavors. Because from what I know, Tinder is more of a hookup app than a dating app.
Okay.
I definitely would agree with that statement. And then Bumble is more dating focused. And Hinge, I like Hinge because you can send comments with your likes. So
Okay.
you can kind of put your personality out there. And Hinge worked really well for me because, like, I'm gonna win more personality battles than picture battles. It's just something I'm very conscious of.
I think you take a very good picture.
That aside, like I still know my personality is way better than my looks. So,
well, they're both good.
Oh, thank you. But
so that sounds like a good tip. So if a girl is making the first move, it's important to be engaging to get that guy's attention.
If you're looking for something quality, yes. If you're just looking for a hookup, then like that's perfectly fine.
Right.
But if you're looking for something quality, yes, because you're gonna get back what you put in.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what, and if you're not putting in a bunch of effort, and trust me, I've seen millions of girls, not millions, but a bunch of girls, Bumbles and Tinders, and I know that you have hundreds, if not thousands, of matches.
Right.
So it's hard to go through them all, but my advice would be find the ones that you like and actually spend some effort on it. Otherwise, you're not going to get any effort back.
Right. Yeah. So effort sounds like an important thing. Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you're dating, you have to put effort into it. If you don't have the effort to give, why should you be dating?
Yeah, yeah, very good point. And so catfishing, I mean, that hasn't happened to me yet.
Well, I've definitely had, actually, so my first date ever post-divorce, I talked to this girl like a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. I can't remember exactly. And I was fresh in the dating scene. I really didn't know what to look out for. Like, I knew her photos were not like spot on at all, but they were absurdly deceiving. Like, and looks are one thing, but like literally looked nothing like her photos, was easily 40, 50 pounds overweight, and had serious teeth problems, and just kind of, and like, it was my first date, so like, I was just like, fine. And I went through the whole ordeal, had the whole day, and really treated it like a real day.
Yeah.
And never said anything, but that was my first experience But after that, I was just like, oh, okay.
Wow.
And like, the night ended, and like, it was cool.
Yeah.
But like, I never wanted to talk to her again. And she sent me a few messages like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, no, I'm okay.
Right, right.
I mean, that would be my first time ghosting someone too, but
yeah.
And ironically, I found her again on the dating apps like 3 years later.
Oh wow! Still with the same highly filtered photos.
Oh yeah, and I matched with her purposely, and I saw that she matched with me, and I was like, "Are you that dumb?"
She didn't remember.
And I just basically spoke my mind. It's like, if you're out here presenting a fake person, like, how do you expect to find anything from that?
Okay.
And
oh, so you actually were honest and said,
yeah. And she said, "Fuck you," and blocked me. But but that is, as my friend said, it's like, yeah, I would be blunt with you, but like, it's not in bad intent.
Yeah.
And she may not want to hear it, and like, the "fuck you" was a valid response, but also I'm like, I'm glad I said it. Maybe she will think about that.
Yeah, yeah.
Me personally, I would just like humanity to be better.
Right.
Because we talk about men earlier, it's like, men, be better.
Yeah.
And the only way that happens is if society collectively says, we're going to be better.
Right.
And they help people that are struggling to be better.
Yeah, yeah. And female or male or however you
yeah, it doesn't matter, because like, they're shitty. Like, there's a lot of shitty men, but there's also a lot of shitty women too.
Well, yeah, sadly. Anyone could be, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you identify as. You're still very capable of being a very bad human.
Right, and honesty is important. I mean, how does that help? I've got to think it through and think, if she's sharing photos, just her as an example, photos that are not how she looks, she's not going to find someone who likes the way she looks because they don't know.
Well, and like, I've thought about it a lot. I think it's more of like just an attention grab. She likes the attention that she gets in that scenario, but it's false attention. Like, you're not getting real attention, and really attention based off your looks is really not great attention.
Yeah, that's true.
Because like, everybody likes to be called pretty or beautiful, handsome, what have you.
Yeah.
But when you actually compliment somebody's non-physical traits is when people are really endeared and happy about the compliment.
Oh, right, okay.
Because when somebody tells me I look good, I'm like, okay, cool, thanks, I appreciate it. Because as a guy, I don't hear it very often, so like, I am happy to hear it.
Okay.
Because it's just not something that is said as much that way around, but I'm still happier when somebody calls me a good person. Somebody calls me caring. Sweet is kind of weird, because like, that is always like, yeah, you're sweet, but
right.
but like, I still appreciate all those compliments.
Right, okay. So that sounds like a good tip for girls looking for a guy then. Go for the non-physical compliments, genuine compliments maybe.
Well, it depends on the guy, because I know plenty of guys that are just like, yes, fill my head with anything you want. Like, they'll be just happy.
Right.
That would be more of me personally, and I have friends that are probably in the same boat, but I'd say majority probably not. Like, you give them compliments, they're just gonna be over the moon, because
it's nice.
Guys don't get as many compliments. It's just and not that I keep track, but like, in a relationship I've been in, it's always, like 10-1.
Okay.
Like, I definitely give more than I get.
Right, okay. So maybe that's something that the girls could think about. If you're interested in guys, maybe give them more compliments, or not think so much about your own looks.
Just make it natural.
Yeah.
Don't force it.
Yeah.
Because that'll be my number one thing, is don't force anything.
Yeah.
Just be you.
Yeah.
But if you're feeling something and you want to say it.
It's true. Yeah. Yeah. I guess I haven't really experienced dating apps because so far I've managed to connect with people through other things, particularly writing, because the books I write are about lesbian relationships mostly. So naturally, the people who might be interested in reading that, sort of potential customers, sometimes that's led to some dating and friends as well.
Yeah.
And I don't have too many horror stories. I've never really been on a disastrous date. I do remember before I met my first wife, when I was in my early 20s, I did a little dating. And there was one date where the poor girl was just so nervous. She could barely speak or, have any kind of conversation. So we sort of had some dinner together, and I was really carrying the conversation, trying to get some information out of her. She couldn't do it. So I did say, oh, let's just, not do anything else. Let's just head home. It was about 8:30.
Yeah.
So I felt for her, but I thought, gosh, I think communication and banter is important to me. So it was never going to work. Somebody's just too shy.
Well, you can work through shyness. Like, shyness is like something that once you're comfortable with somebody, because some of the shyest people I know never shut up once you get past that point.
That's funny. Yeah.
And I still love them to death, but it's like, whoa, I was not expecting that.
Interesting. Okay.
Because like they do want to talk, they don't want to burden you.
Oh.
Because like I was very, very shy younger, and I still am pretty shy.
Really? I would never have guessed that.
I am very shy. Alcohol helps a lot.
Yeah,
but
it helps us all.
Like, if you want me to go up and talk to a girl bone sober, I'm gonna be like, nope.
Oh.
I'm literally gonna have 1,000 different reasons in my head. I'm like, this is why. No, her hair is flipped this way. That she'd probably hate me because of that. And, like,
bless you.
I'm definitely better than I was, because younger me, like, I couldn't talk to anybody. Like,
right.
I just like, no, they don't want to talk to me. No.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So it's like an insecurity or a self-confidence.
Yeah. Because I was mostly a hermit growing up.
Right.
But I wasn't comfortable being me either.
Right.
And I think that helped a lot with my shyness. Is like, I don't care if people like me now, and that's probably the easiest thing now to say why I'm not as shy as I was.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you don't like me, fine, I don't care.
Right.
I got people that do.
Yeah.
And you're not important if you don't like me. Not to me.
Yeah.
And they're just dismissed. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Go on about your life. Doesn't matter to me.
That's great. Yeah. That's very useful. So I guess there must be times when somebody tries to date somebody, it's not working, and then hopefully if they're feeling strong in themselves and healthy, they would think, oh, that's fine. That person's not for me. So I know for me, I have to be careful not to keep on trying harder to prove my worth.
Yeah.
If somebody doesn't seem that interested.
Well, and for me, like, my just personal experience is, if you've gotten to the point where like a relationship is started and you're like, okay, this probably isn't going to work for me, and you walk away, typically that gets more of a response to like, wait, no, you're walking away.
Right.
And now I'm kind of at the point where I walked away as an educated decision. So I appreciate that you kind of see that this is something you wanted, but now I don't want it.
Right.
And that happens more often than not as of late. I mean, the past, I'd say 3 years, because I've just the past 3 years has kind of been an entire transformation, especially the 2 year.
Right.
But I've kind of just been, this is me.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it. And if I won't make the decision lightly that if I don't want to be with somebody, I don't want to be with somebody. But I will literally probably mull on it for like a full week. And I will have a personal day where, like, pretty much the whole day, I'll probably drink that day, but I would just sit there and be stuck in my own thoughts and kind of have a personal day where I have a lot of fun, but I also take pauses in that fun. I'm like, okay, so let's look at this. Because I have ADHD, so for me, I have to be doing two things or I'm doing nothing.
Right, yeah. I have ADHD too. I'm very much like that.
But
Yeah. Interesting. So giving it a lot of thought before you end a relationship, that sounds healthy.
well, I think life should be that way. Like you should do things with meaningful action. And I only say that about important things because you know me. You're like I will do a bazillion different things on a whim.
Mm.
I just will. I'm like, oh, we're going over here, or that looks like a fun adventure. What's over there? I'm like,
It's true.
that is kind of, I will go anywhere adventure is.
Yeah.
But when it comes to important things like relationship, because like it's a huge part of your life,
Mm.
I think you have to do things with a purpose.
Right.
And if you don't, then you're going to get yourself into a situation you don't want to be in.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting about how relationships are within everyday life because there's a huge amount of other things to get done, whether it's working or friends or hobbies, family for some people. And I guess for a lot of people these days, it seems like they're not just, maintaining one relationship, there may be several. So, yeah, timing, schedules, how does that all work?
Well, as far as like dating multiple people, as long as you're open about it, like it's not really that hard because you're like, well, no, I've got something going on. Most people don't pry because they know what's going on, but they're also like, no, you're just dating, and I'm dating too. Usually, they've got other people they're dating too.
Yeah.
So it's like, how about this day? And I mean, that's probably the biggest reason I don't want to date multiple people again. It's like it is. It's very taxing. It's like, okay, Thursday this, Friday this, Saturday this,
Right.
and you're like, well, I don't want you for that. Well, if I stay up 2 hours late, I can get laundry done.
Wow.
And then between the 2 dates on Friday, I've got an hour that I can clean the house because the other date's going to come back to the house.
Oh my goodness.
Like, it really is.
Yeah.
It does make you very efficient. I will say that.
Yeah.
Because I'm not nearly as efficient as I was back then. Because I had everything kind of set, but I'm a lot more chill now too. Like, I'm not stressed out because I'm like, oh gosh, I've got so much to do.
Right.
No, I'm like, no, I've got the right amount of stuff to do.
Yeah.
And then when I don't, I'm open. Oh, hey, there's this going on. I'm gonna go do that. Because then we're like, oh, I've got like Sunday completely free. Couch, here I come.
Nice. Yeah, you've got to have downtime. We're not getting anything done. Yeah, it's important. I think for me, well, I'm not sure. I'd have to get feedback from partners on this, but if I'm where I have been dating multiple people, my biggest problem is that I find I'm unpredictable. If I suddenly am inspired and I need to make some art, for example, I won't tell anybody that that's going to happen. I'll just disappear and not contact anyone for days because that's what I'm doing. I'm engaged. And I don't know when that's going to happen. Same with my book. Like this week, I'm trying to finish off a novel. And it's taking longer than I thought. I thought I would have actually finished it and submitted it to the publisher at the weekend. That didn't happen because I got excited about a different ending. So, yeah, I guess if I'm not predictable, I have to at least let people know that that's what to expect. I haven't disappeared because I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah.
It's just the way my brain is wired, I guess.
Well, for me, I'm still bad about that because I will fall off the map every now and then.
That's a good way to put it.
But most of my good friends very much understand that. But if somebody messages me that is not in that loop, I will make it a point. It's like, I'm kind of busy right now. I will get back to you. And it only takes a second. It does kind of ruin my mojo for a minute, but I will just send a message like, I'm kind of busy right now. I will get back to you.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm better than others, but I have made it a big point because at least that communication's there.
Yeah, I should actually get better at doing that. Just when I realize I've gone into my bubble and I'm not communicating, I should just send some messages to say, yeah, you won't hear much from me today. Yeah.
Yeah. And then sometimes it's just like, okay, you're getting one-word answers, and those don't take a lot of brain power, but they kind of get the point.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'm better than others. Because sometimes I'm just not mentally in the headspace. I'm like, okay, cool, funny, haha. And
Yeah.
I know a lot of people get that. They're like, no, I'll get back to you when like I'm ready and able. But
Yeah. I'm like that even generally with messaging. I think with friends or whoever, if somebody sends me a funny meme and then they don't hear a response for 4 hours, that doesn't mean that I saw it and I didn't like it. I'm just not always.
oh, 4 hours, I'm talking about like 3 days.
Well, right, yeah, and I'll if somebody asks me how are you and it's been 3 days, I'll just respond like good, how are you? No matter how much. I might occasionally say, oh, sorry for the delay in response, but people get used to that, I guess.
Yeah. And like I think that is because like my best friend back home in Kansas City, like we don't talk for 2-3 months sometimes.
Right.
But when we do, we can't shut up.
That's nice.
But we've always had that relationship because we've always had like spurts where we just won't go. And in Kansas City, we would literally not see each other 3 months, and then we'd hang out 4 weeks in a row.
Right.
And it was just kind of how things worked out.
Yeah.
Because we're all adults now. Like, we all have our own lives.
It's true.
And if you don't got time, you don't got time. Sometimes you don't want to see them. It's nothing personal.
Yeah.
And I mean, now that I live in New Orleans and I have more friends than I've ever had, I love that. But also, like, I feel more guilty because I'm like, I've got all these people I want to hang out with. But I just don't have the time or the mental stability to hang out with all of them.
Right.
So, unfortunately, it's just like, I would get to hang out with you, and it's not that I like anybody more than others. It's like, well, there's this thing going on, and you're going, so I'm going to hang out with you for that. And that's a good thing. You're hanging out in quality situations. You're not hanging out because it's like, oh, I just need to hang out with you.
Yeah.
That's important.
It is important, yes. Yeah. I think because an awful lot of my friends, especially who I grew up with, are straight women and they've married a man and have kids. That's their model. So
yeah,
there was a time when they were very busy a few years back because they all had young kids at once. And I had
sounds terrible.
Yeah, some of them had like 3. Does anyone have 4? No, I don't think so. 3 was the maximum. But there was quite a surprising number who did have 3 kids. So, yeah, for me, there was a time when I felt kind of lonely because everyone was just up to their eyes in like toddler madness.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I had to adjust and recognize that they weren't going to be responsive or they wouldn't want to do the same stuff. So that was interesting. And I think you're right. Yeah, I mean, you might have a group of friends who you want to see all the time, but you probably well, I know I do. I gravitate to different people for different moods. There's some people you can always just hang out with and they'll be calming and they're not high maintenance. You don't need to do much.
I have 2 people in my life that are just the greatest people in my life because I know I can hang out with them and I'm never going to have an issue.
Nice.
I can literally have my own adventure and probably not even talk to them half the night.
Yeah.
But like we're that close to, and we're all those types of people. We'll all go off and do our own thing. Mm-hmm. And when all 3 of us hang out, we just kind of each make our own adventure, but then we make a collective adventure together.
Oh, that's lovely.
And it's a lot of fun, and that's why we all love hanging out together.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like there are certain people I'm like, I'm not in the mood for it. Because like I have friends that like some of them like they're kind of downers, but I have moods where I'm like, yeah, I want to be down. Like I want to hang out with you.
Yeah.
Because like we can sit there and we can be like, life fucking sucks. And you can do that together and you can just kind of bitch about the world.
That's true, yeah. There are some people like that.
And then I have some people that are just like super, super fucking high energy. And like I know I'm somewhat high energy when I go out, but these people, I'm just saying, they've got so much. It's like, okay, I don't have it in me. I just want to sit in the back of a bar and just kind of chill.
Right. Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
And like, there's just, and that's good. You have different people that like, you mix on these things, and that's when you should meet.
Yeah. And then some people will organize stuff, or like you say, they want a party. So if you're in that kind of mood, then those are the people you turn to.
Oh, organizers are my favorite people. because I can't organize nothing to save my life.
Oh, really?
So when like you plan an event, I'm like, great, cool. Is it fun? Yes, I'm in. This is awesome. I love when people do that.
Nice.
I've de facto become the person that makes a few, and in Kansas City, I did a lot more than I do here
Okay.
because I have a lot of friends that like they do all that. I'm like, oh, great. I am
Fantastic.
so thankful because I'm not the organizer. I'm not like.
Yeah.
I would say my dad's side of the family is held together by my aunt, who organizes everything,
Oh, wow.
and I love her for it.
Yeah.
And like my aunt and uncle are like my best part of my family because like they've always been there, and I think that's most important. But like my aunt also just like plans stuff to do and gatherings, and she gets everybody together.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, some people really have that knack, I think. And it's important that they do that. As long as they don't organize too much stuff. I mean, I know I need a lot of downtime. I need to be on my own to recover in between.
Well, you don't have to go to everything.
That's true. That is true.
That's a personal, because like I know plenty of people that plan 100 different things. I don't have to go to them all.
Yeah.
Because I said it earlier, it's like, does that look like fun?
Yeah, right.
And if it doesn't, I'm like, sorry, I'm not going to go. Like,
yeah.
But all of my friends are very understanding of that. Like we actually shun people like, why didn't you invite me? It's like, why are you chastising me? I wanted to hang out, as you said earlier. These are the people I want to hang out with because I'm in this mood for this.
Yeah, it's true.
And people that don't get that, it's not that we don't like you. It's just that, no, I wanted a small gathering.
Yeah.
And these are the people I wanted to invite. And being that way typically makes us want to invite you less. I think it's more important to just be like, okay, cool. And have your own stuff going on.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, the number one thing I'll probably say in this podcast more than anything is be yourself and find your own life. Because if you have your own life together, you're going to be a much more attractive prospect. Because you know who you are and you know what you want to do.
Yeah.
And being an individual is very important. And I've dated a lot of people that basically just take on the personality of whoever they're dating.
Oh, okay.
And I won't do it anymore, but like I've done it. And now I want somebody that's individual. I want somebody that's like, well, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go do this instead. And it's like, cool, great.
Yeah. So how important would you say it is to date someone who has a similar level of social battery?
It's about balance. Because for me, I want somebody a little bit more extroverted than I am.
Okay.
Because I know everybody says, oh, you're so extroverted. No, I'm really not.
Right.
I don't really like being extroverted.
That surprises me.
It surprises a lot of people, but like it's not really my favorite thing. And when I go out, I typically, and that's probably why I'm a smoker, is like I get free breaks because I need breaks from social situations.
Right, yeah.
Extroverts crave it and they love that.
That's true.
And like some of my greatest friends are extroverts because one, if I'm in that situation where I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm getting socially overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I'm losing my battery quick. I need to stop before I blow it. I can call my extrovert friend over, like, hey, come here. This is what we're talking about. And then they would just start going to town, talking.
Yeah.
And then I can dip out for a minute.
Yes, that's very important.
Like,
yeah.
I don't mean to say I'm using you as a scapegoat, but like, I love that because they get that about me. It's like, no, Dorian just gotta go be at peace for a minute.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, I'm very much that way. Definitely, I do need time, but I'm not having to interact. But yeah, I tend to not do as much, I guess. So it doesn't tend to happen while I'm out, unless I'm out for a really long time.
Yeah. Well, you know me. Like I'm usually, if I go out, like it's usually like 8 hours is like minimum.
That's true.
And the most I've done is 21. But
wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, that was a fun day. And I wanted to go to 24, but like I ran out of interesting people because as long as there's something interesting going on,
So it's all different groups of people.
yeah, I'd say no. Because it started with roller bulls, which is derby girls dressing up as bulls, little baseball bats, slapping everybody in the rear.
Oh wow.
It's a play on running of the bulls, but
Okay.
the roller derby girls have their skates out, and
Fantastic.
it's totally fun. It started with that, and that started at 8 a.m. So,
Wow.
in true fashion, you get out there at 6:30 so you can start pre-gaming.
Okay.
Drinking at 6:30 a.m. is probably more a New Orleans thing than anything else.
Yeah.
I know that's not as typical anywhere else in the country,
Only if you're
unless you're
camping.
tailgating for football.
Right. Tailgating and camping in Britain, that's very similar. Yeah,
But
outdoors. Yeah, you can drink. Yeah.
then I had a friend that invited me out to random bars at like 4, but we ended up finishing up around 1 for the roller things.
Okay.
I still had Frey at the time, so I had to come home, feed the dog, get some food, and then went back out and ended up getting back home about 4.
Oh my goodness.
So it was 6:30 a.m. to 4.
Wow. That's impressive.
But
That's so close to 24 hours. I think you could claim
I was so close. But again, like if I run out of fun,
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I'm gonna call it.
Yeah.
And usually, like my sunrise days, where I end up on Decatur and then I'll go to the river. At least then, like I have a sunrise that I can sit there, and the Mississippi River on that riverfront. It's very calming. Like it's my peace place.
Yeah, lovely.
Like if I need to go recharge, I will literally go watch the sunrise there.
Mm-hmm.
Mentally, it'll usually snap me back pretty quick.
Maybe seeing water as well. I think that's important to some people.
Yeah, water is really calming. That's why people love beaches.
Yeah.
And I do too.
Yeah, I've lived by the water a few times actually. I lived in Brighton in England, which is by the sea, and then another time in Herne Bay, which is also by the sea, but a different coast, I think. Or yeah, the bottom of the country versus the side.
And I apologize. I literally have no idea about British geography at all.
I'm talking to someone in Shreveport, and I was like, "Come to New Orleans," and she said, "Yeah, I might one weekend." And then I looked on a map and found it's a 5-hour drive.
Yeah, it's quite a bit.
Right, she's actually closer to Dallas than to New Orleans, but she still thought that's not unreasonable for getting in her car.
Well, New Orleans is just like it's a good destination. Like I could see living in Shreveport, but like New Orleans is a nice little weekend trip. It'll be fun.
Right, yeah. I don't know what's there.
Because if you're 5 hours away from Kansas City, it's like, well, what else am I going to do that weekend?
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Because like I love Kansas City, and there is a lot of cool things to do, but like. It's not New Orleans.
No.
And it's not a beach.
Yeah, that's always entertaining as well.
Yeah.
So any particular bars you'd recommend for dating, for finding people? And then
I don't know. Bars and dating. Yeah, you can find dating people in bars, but I can't say it's the best, but like sometimes it works.
Yeah.
Go to the bars you like.
Yeah.
I mean, as with everything, it's like go somewhere you're comfortable. If you're actively trying to date and out there, go to the bars that excite you and the bars that you have fun with.
Yeah.
For me, that doesn't work as well because like I hang out at a lot of gay bars because they have better music. But
that's funny.
It does help your ego sometimes. He's like, "Oh, you want to date me? Sorry, I don't do guys anymore."
No, oh bless you. Yeah, I remember when I first came out as a lesbian when I was in London, because I went to university there and went to some lesbian bars, and I didn't realise that an awful lot of people you would meet go there all the time. That's like their social life.
Yeah.
So they weren't really there to date. I mean, I was super excited because I hadn't really seen lesbians before.
Yeah.
And there were so many there, but they weren't really. I mean, I found it very difficult to chat to anyone. I was pretty shy then too. But yeah, I think they probably didn't see it as a dating place. They just would go probably night after night to see their friends. That was their community.
Yeah. Well, and I think that is more important because I think if you're actively trying to date, like you should probably go, like if you're into like charities, go to charity events.
Right, yeah.
If you're into nature, just go on hikes and try and strike up conversations any way possible. Um, and, and everybody goes to the grocery store. Go to a grocery store where you're kind of surrounded by your people, because like Trader Joe's, Aldi's, those are kind of the places. And conversation's pretty easy there.
Does that work? I've heard of this. Like,
I've only gotten one date that way, but I'm not.
Okay.
Again, I'm kind of shy. But if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna ask somebody that's looking in the produce section.
Right.
And avocados is always going to be my number one go-to, because I eat a ton of avocados.
Right.
I like Aldi's because they're 59 cents a piece.
Fantastic.
And I go to Aldi's, and my number one question will be, so how do you pick a good avocado? Like, what are you looking for in an avocado?
Cute.
And then if conversation extends past that, cool. And if not, as I say, 9 times out of 10, I have no idea, and then like they'll walk away.
Right.
But every now and then you'll engage conversation, and just
so you can tell from the response whether the person's interested.
Yeah, I mean, if conversation flows easily,
yeah,
it's worthwhile. If it doesn't, then you're probably wasting your time.
Right.
Because there's one thing I have learned about dating. If conversation doesn't come easy in the beginning, it's probably never going to come easy.
Wow, really? Yeah.
I haven't had any relationship where that has been, like, I've had instances where I've overcome that and, like, made something out of nothing, but they weren't ever valued relationships, nor did they last long.
Okay, so that's a good litmus test from the beginning. If you're not just flowing back and forth.
I think chemistry says a lot. If you don't have chemistry, you don't have chemistry.
Yeah, I agree with that. And for me, if it's not there at the beginning, it won't grow, really.
Yeah.
Not so far, anyway. Yeah.
I haven't had an instance where, like, that chemistry wasn't flowing, and then all of a sudden, boom, hey, there's a ton of chemistry. Where'd that come from?
That's really interesting, because I notice a lot of dating advice aimed at women online. I mean, it's not particularly serious. It's probably on Instagram and stuff like that. But some of it's from therapists, It's supposed to be taken seriously. There's this concept of dating intentionally, and it seems to be aimed very much at straight women. And the concept seems to be, don't decide about a guy too soon. Give him quite a few dates. So even, as you're saying, if there isn't chemistry to start with, they're urging women to give a guy a chance, because he may actually be a more kind of solid person.
Like, sometimes you can't judge, because you've got to find something to spark that conversation. Because, like, maybe the grocery store is probably a bad example, but
that sounds like it's working well.
No, it really doesn't. I said, like, I've had one good hit off that, but
fantastic. It's more than I've had in the grocery store.
But I do, because sometimes you just get the wrong idea about people, and I'm guilty too. Just whatever. Like, you see an outfit and you're just like, what are you wearing? And you're like, it's just not. Because, like, for me, you're like camo. If I see somebody in camo, I'm just like, oh, I probably don't like you.
Oh, wow, really?
But that stems from, like, my childhood and, like, my family. It personally is like that. But, like, I've come to kind of overcome that. But it's like, I have several friends and I'll see them camo, and every time it'll still be in the back of my head. I'm like, ugh, camo.
Oh, right.
But, like, that's who they are, and they like that, and they're still good people despite them wearing camo. And they're still valued members of my friend group.
Yeah.
But, like, it's just not me. But
yeah.
I'm not saying don't give them a chance, but, like, be careful how many chances you give, because your time is valuable.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
Because I've definitely been that guy that has not gotten chances before, but honestly, I don't care. Like, you don't give me a chance, like, it's fine. Somebody else will.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't waste a bunch of time on giving people a chance. Like, hear them out and don't dismiss them off like something small. But, like, if it's a political view that's against yours, then that's the first thing you do. You're just like, fine, yeah. Cut it and call it good.
That's true, yeah.
There's plenty of people out there to date. And wasting your time on somebody that's not valuable to date, I can agree with that.
Yeah,
It's not worth it.
Mm.
It's wasted energy.
Yeah, politics is probably one of my biggest red flags. I only realised this recently, but I don't think I've ever dated a conservative, which is roughly equivalent to Republican.
Yeah.
Because I would say I'm a Democrat in terms of all, social things. We call it Labour, the Labour Party in England. So, yeah, and to date, I've never, pun intended, had a date with anybody who was on that conservative side.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I could square it with somebody. It'd be interesting to find out.
I mean, I kind of bought into my family's rhetoric a lot, and I would say my ex-wife's kind of more on that.
Right?
She wasn't really very political, so like it wasn't really a problem, but
Yeah.
I've been on dates with people and like had casual relationships with people on that side.
Yeah.
And like I can stomach the conversation, but well, I could. I can't now.
Yeah.
Back then I could because like it's just like okay, I'm hanging with my family, but there's an ulterior goal here.
Right.
But I think middle of the road is kind of where I draw my line.
Okay.
And actually, I like middle of the road people because at least they have values and like, well, this is this, and there are definitely like key subjects that it's like, no, you're a bad person, done.
Right, yeah, that's true actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got certain hot button issues that I can't get past it.
It's like healthcare is one of those things. Is like, yeah, personally, I think it probably should be available for everybody, but you're talking somebody that went in debt at 18 because healthcare was such an important thing, and I had insurance.
Wow.
But I was still 10 grand in debt at 18, where I was making $9.50 an hour. So, but I'm also, I don't agree with it, but it's not something like, okay, you're a shit person for thinking that.
Okay.
But like we said earlier, it's like I don't believe trans people are it. You are what you are at birth. It's like, no, you're a trash human being. I don't want to be your friend.
Yeah, me too, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that would be one thing that yes, I can get over that, and that's fine. We can debate on it, and we can have that conversation a million times, get it well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the other one's like, no, I'm not having a conversation on that. I immediately know I don't like you.
Yeah, that happened to me actually. I was just briefly dating an attorney in London. Really great sex, unfortunately, but she came out with all of that stuff. So yeah, I had to end the relationship. I couldn't get past it.
Well, yeah, I mean, the sex didn't be good after you knew that. It was like, oh, well, that sucks.
Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, it was a terrible. And I tried to convince her, to be fair. I thought maybe she's just being a boomer about it and she's just unaware of the issues, but she wasn't. She was just entrenched. So it was never I can't respect somebody like that.
Well, I feel like a lot of those issues, like, because that one, I don't think you're going to change people's minds on that one. I think if you're already in that hateful mindset, there is not much logic that's going to change that.
Right. Interesting. Well, it certainly I couldn't, persuade her. So that's one example.
Because healthcare, I think, is more persuasive because you're making an educated decision, and there is valid points on both sides there. I cannot see a valid point why you care even what somebody else identifies and why you won't respect that they want to be that.
Yeah.
Because for me, that's no different than name change. Because for me, my whole view on it is people are people.
Right.
I don't call you whatever because you're just a person to me.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that in a demeaning way. It's like you're just a person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Humans are humans.
It's true.
That's bottom line for me.
Yeah.
So I don't care about any of it, but out of respect for you being a human, I will call you what you want. Because like we all have names. Your name's Helen, my name's Dorian.
Yeah.
I can legally change that tomorrow. And if I ask you to call me Bill, you'd be like, okay, cool. All right, Bill.
Yeah. Of course.
Not that complicated.
Yeah.
And that's what angers me is like it's such a simple thing,
It's true.
but it's
yeah.
gotten so complicated.
Mm.
And I don't know why. Like, my personal brain is incapable of, why does it matter to you?
Yeah. And it clearly is so important to the individual as well. So, I mean, why not just try and be nice?
Yeah. And just, how hard is it?
Yeah. Because they've given it so much thought.
Yeah.
You know.
And we all have our own emotional trauma and issues we deal with. And if something helps somebody, I promise you it's not going to ruin your life to call somebody you think is a he, or even they.
Right, yeah.
It's not going to ruin your life. You might mess up a couple times, but as long as you're trying, I promise you they're not going to be like, you're a terrible person.
That's true. Yeah.
Because I slip up. I have several non-binary friends, and every now and then I will say the wrong pronoun, and usually immediately I'm so sorry, they. And
Yeah.
but it happens. But as long as you're making a concerted effort, I don't think people are going to chastise you.
Especially if you knew them before they were using those pronouns. I think
Yeah.
they get it. It's going to take a little time.
Yeah, that one takes a little bit longer.
Yeah. No, I had that experience at art school. Actually, one of the students came out as female and went to pronouns that were she, they. So yeah, because I guess we had been, referring to her differently before. It took a little time, but actually it didn't take that long.
Yeah, and 2 to 3 times officially being like in a setting where you get to use pronouns, I think you kind of get it, but
Yeah, you get it. And I think that for anybody, if you can be your authentic real yourself, it will bring so much more to whatever you're doing, whether it's art or something else. I know it's the same for me coming out as a lesbian, because the first few jobs I had when I was in my teens, I didn't out myself because it was just something very new to me as well. But as soon as I was able to be out and honest with people, I think I brought my A game to the job and everything else.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, it's a small thing they're asking to make them feel comfortable.
It does make you feel comfortable, yeah. And
that's why I'm so comfortable now, because many of my New Orleans friends, if they met me 5 years ago, I'd be an entirely different person.
That's hard to imagine.
I mean, entirely. And 10 years ago, I'd be a bad person in most of their eyes.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I can't think of you as a bad person.
Let's see. Well, no, we'll go 15 years.
Okay.
Because 24 is kind of when I started realizing facts exist and started reevaluating my life. But like, that was a trauma point in my life, and it made me reevaluate everything.
Okay.
And because of that, like,
wow,
I made a lot of changes because I looked at my life and I looked at who I was, and I didn't like any of it. So
right.
I didn't change overnight. I'd say I'm still fixing stuff that I decided needed to go then.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's the human experience, is like, you just need to keep growing. I'll do my damnedest to keep growing to the day I die.
Yeah.
But, I'm never going to be perfect. And I really don't want to be, because if I am, then I don't see how it's possible.
Interesting. Yeah, because we're always growing and getting new lessons as we experience things.
Well, and like, more data becomes available too.
Yeah.
Because when I was a kid, I didn't have any knowledge. Like, the internet was still pretty new, and even though I was an IT nerd back then, like, all the data wasn't available. I didn't have the data to make good judgment calls, to make good decisions.
Yeah.
Now I've got a lot more data at my fingertips, and I think that helps society. Still not moving as quickly as I like, and there's a lot of false data out there on both sides. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say right or left is wrong there. I'm just going to say there's a lot of false data floating around.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. Fantastic. We didn't really have all of your horror stories. I mean, we heard one about catfishing, I suppose, where somebody was not presenting herself accurately.
I don't know. I don't really have a ton of horror stories.
That's good.
And probably it's just my perspective because a lot of people probably say some of the dates I went on were pretty awful. But for me, I appreciate meeting new people.
Yeah.
And even though I don't want to go on another date with them, it was fun seeing their perspective and seeing somebody else's. But I think that is part of me growing. The more people I meet, the more perspective I can have and the more I can learn from.
That's true.
So it's never a horror story because, like, the catfish one was a horror story because I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't have that philosophy on dating at the time. It was just, I don't know what's going on. Pretty much the whole night.
Oh, bless you. But she shouldn't have put you in that situation.
Well, yeah, but like you're asking people to be good people all the time, and there's just not always good people.
Yeah, that's true.
And I guess that's probably what I take away from dating is that be prepared to be disappointed. Don't let it discourage you, but like expect some people to let you down.
Yeah.
And don't put all your eggs on one basket. Like this person's perfect, blah blah blah, this, that, and that. And then you all of a sudden you learn like, oh no, they're trash.
Yeah.
Like, like I really haven't dated a lot lately. I had a girlfriend for like 6 months, but that went to the wayside. And then, but since I moved down here, I'm not really wanting to. I've been very happy to be myself. I'm kind of getting back to that same point where I want to date again, but
yeah,
I'm in no rush, and I'm gonna probably look for something more organic now because, like, the dating apps no longer hold any appeal,
right?
Because I can't gauge chemistry through text messages. The video calls somewhat help, but man, it's hard to get somebody to do a video call on dating apps.
Oh no, is it really? Gosh.
I'd say because I got to a point where I was trying to use that as like advantageous aspect. Like, let's get on a call.
Yeah.
And usually, if you get them on a call, I'm like, oh yeah, you're actually fun to talk to. But I'd say 9 times out of 10, it's like, nah, it sounds a little bit too much, and then the conversation dies.
yeah, that's a sign, I think. Yeah.
But
I have to meet people face to face before I really know. I don't know if it's like literal chemicals to find out if there is chemistry. It's something in the air.
I think pheromones are a giant thing.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I've literally walked into a bar, been sitting in a bar, and depending on if you're first or second, and you see the other person, and you just like it clicks.
Yeah.
And then I would see people walk in, and you just like, oh hey, and it's complete. It's either it flows or immediately, oh, this is already awkward, and we haven't even said anything other than hello.
Right? Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that does happen.
Well, and for me, like, I'm just like naturally a hugger, right? I always ask first because I don't want to be, but usually they say no on the hugs. Like, okay, you're probably not gonna mesh. It's like, is hug weird? Because that's usually how I was like, is a hug weird?
Yeah.
I normally say it a little better than that, but I'm just like, oh, nice to meet you, blah blah blah, and just like, I just know because that's a small thing that I kind of get. Because I can have friends that aren't generally huggers.
Yeah.
Because, like, as I said earlier, like, they probably won't be like my super close knit inner circle, but like they'll have like great attributes, and they can still be amazing friends.
Yeah.
But to bond on that level, it's like that's one of those things. Is like I like closeness, I like contact. And if that is an immediate no, it's kind of a shutdown.
Yeah. Well, it's a physical thing. I mean, dating, isn't it? I mean, that's going to be a big part of it. So,
well, selfishly, I want to see if I get I don't really get butterflies from like hugging. Hey, it's only a kiss thing, but I want to see if like my body's like, ooh, I really like this, or it doesn't.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I've definitely hugged some people and just like, eh.
Mm.
And then other people was like, okay, yay.
Yeah, the butterflies thing. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've learned from talking to several women and like other guys is it's not as common, but like I can't say good butterflies every time I kiss somebody because I most certainly don't. But there are certain people that will definitely, ooh, okay. And not all of them work out, but like the chemistry was there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And either it's there or it's not. Definitely.
Yeah. I am definitely a butterfly person. Like I can tell if it's gonna be good after that first kiss or not. 90% of the time. There's been outliers where the kissing was awful, but the sex was great. And there's also been kissing was amazing and it was not. But
right. See, that's the opposite of what. Well, again, not very scientific, but there's a lot of.
Yeah, this is not scientific at all.
No,
This is
we should disclaimer. But there's a lot of dating advice aimed at women. Again, about this concept of like ending up with what you're looking for, dating intentionally, and thinking about the future a bit. And it sort of urges against going with the butterflies. It's almost saying that if you feel butterflies for a woman looking for a guy, it might be kind of anxiety or a sense of insecurity. And I would question that. I don't know if they've got that right.
I mean, me personally, like, obviously I'm not like in a committed relationship, so who am I to say? But me personally, like, I gotta have some of that.
Yeah.
It's not exciting for me. We spoke earlier about oxytocin, and it's basically what your body creates to say you're in love. And if you don't have that, I don't see how it really works, because that is kind of a physical glue that kind of keeps relationships, in my personal opinion, together, because the more your body creates of that, the easier relationship is, because your body is secreting something that says, hey, I really like this person. Go an extra mile for that person.
Right. Well, maybe it's very different for guys. Because I guess what they're sort of arguing for is that a girl should look for security first and foremost, and a sense of safety, which could, I think what they're trying to say.
That seems very outdated.
Interesting. I think what they're trying to say, what I've read, is it's almost like if you feel kind of slightly bored, then that's a good long-term relationship. It's solid, and this guy will treat you well. Whereas if you're overexcited, that kind of... it kind of puts the woman in a vulnerable position, I guess. Maybe that's what it's about. I'm not saying I agree, but I've seen it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that just seems to me as outdated.
Yeah.
Well, just looking for security, that is a very gender role specific term. And I don't really like gender roles.
Right, yeah.
I know we spoke previously about this, but gender roles for me, it's like, no, we're two people. There is no gender roles. What are you good at? What am I good at? What do you like doing? What do you hate doing?
Yeah.
And come to agreement on that.
Yeah. Rather than that traditional kind of the guy as a provider, I guess, or the source of safety.
Because you're a lesbian, so like, how do you guys define your roles?
I mean,
and like gay people, it's the same way.
I think I'm probably quite outdated. I do like a woman to be much older than me and to give me a sense of safety and security. But there has to be excitement. Boring is definitely not good.
Yeah.
Although talking to straight female friends, they have said to me that's not a good idea. You shouldn't lead with that kind of need for that fizzing excitement when you can't wait to see them.
Well, I will expand that there is some validity to that, because the best sex in my life has always been the worst relationship in my life.
Yeah, that is true.
That I can attest to
I think that's
And like,
across everybody.
I hate saying it, but now it's like, no, I want like better than average sex or below average sex with mental compatibility.
Yeah, why not?
But I don't want bad sex.
Mm.
That sounds awful and boring. And like your oxytocin isn't gonna go, so like you're not gonna continue on.
Yeah.
But just in my personal experience, every time I have great sex, it's usually not a healthy relationship.
Yeah, that happens with lesbians too. It does in my experience anyway. Yeah.
Well, and
But you can't consign yourself to bad sex because it's like saying you
oh
can have
no, I
bad
won't.
food for the rest of your life or something. It's
Like I won't.
enjoyable. Yeah.
Because like, and sex is also one of those things that like you can improve.
Yeah.
If you don't have the chemistry, it's not gonna work.
Right.
But if it's just they're completely lost, that you can work with that.
Mm.
If somebody has a different body rhythm than you, that one's hard to work with.
Yeah.
Because if you're trying to go up and they're trying to go down, and it's just like it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because I think that there's inexperience and there's rhythm. If the rhythm's off, it doesn't work. Inexperience you can work on.
With communication, do you think you can improve? Like two people have a great mental, compatibility, and the sex isn't great to start with. Do you think you can get it up there?
You can definitely improve it, but again, is it because of inexperience, or is it because your internal rhythms are off?
So you're into different stuff, or you want to do different roles that
Well,
mesh?
like by rhythm, it's like your body has a natural pace to it, right? And this is what you like at this pace. But the other person is 3 beats faster than that.
Right.
So they're going to do something a little bit faster pace than that. And that's not going to get you off.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I can only speak from like the 2 guys I slept with really didn't do it. So like, I can't even speak on gay sex. But male to female, I know when the rhythm's working because if I push and then she goes like it's a motion that's fluid or you're clashing.
Right.
And when it's fluid, it's great. But when you're kind of not on the same page physically, I've never seen that improve an awful lot. It'll improve a little bit once you get used to it, but it's not natural to change your internal pace.
Yeah.
Because I liken that to like my internal thought process. I'm not saying it's like smart, but it is a very high pace. Right. I'm always thinking about like 72 things.
Okay.
It's not efficient and doesn't make me smarter by any means. That probably hurts me. But like I get along with people that have that same problem going on.
Right.
Because like my best therapist, she was just as ADHD as me. Yeah. We talked about 72 different things in an hour.
Yeah.
But literally we could hop subject to subject. And we're both on the same rainbow road where we're just floating around. Yeah. And we're both following each other flawlessly.
Excellent. That's good. Yeah.
And like sex is the same way. Like there are some people who just sleep with them and are like, this is perfect. This is working. I've got it. And then there's some people who are just like, stop doing this, but move your leg. No. Put your body this way, and it's just it doesn't work.
That's so funny. I love that mental image. I feel like drawing a cartoon with like arms and legs everywhere, with like a cloud in the middle. Wow.
I've lived it. I literally thought about people during that I won't mention, but I'm just like, oh gosh. Because sometimes you're just like, this is just not working. Okay.
Oh, no.
And nothing is harder than being a guy and like being really wanting to have sex, and you're just like, okay, look. Before I go soft, I'm gonna stop this because it's just it's not feeling good. You're trying to do something and it's not working for you.
Yeah.
And generally, when that happens, it's not working for them either.
Interesting.
I mean, some of them want to keep going, but for the most part, like, they're like, no, I'm with you.
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and it's fine.
Yeah. Just
But it is
wow.
definitely a hard conversation. It's like, this ain't doing it for me.
Oh, God.
Because a lot of times, like, that'll hurt somebody's feelings. It really will.
Yeah.
But if you're not enjoying it, it's okay to say you're not enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't have to complete. If you're close, fine, finish it. But if neither of you are close and it's not fun, it's fine to say no.
That's really good advice. So yeah, your consent is not all consuming for the whole night. If you want to stop, you can stop anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think women probably have a harder time with that than men because men can be more aggressive. Like, no, like, I'm almost there. Like, because men typically get off easier than women. So
I have heard that from straight women that they almost feel like it's not worth saying I'm not into this. Just like let him finish.
Yeah.
Which sounds awful. I mean, it wouldn't happen with two women because it's very different anyway. I think because it would not necessarily just be one time. Well, I mean, it wouldn't always be just one time with a girl and a guy anyway. But you're kind of going to be doing different things for a long period. So it's in my limited experience, you're generally going to have more scope to do stuff that each of you likes, but not necessarily at the same time.
Yeah. And I get that because, like, me personally, like, I'm also a big fan of toys because, like,
right.
Science exists, right? Why would you not just enhance the experience?
Yeah.
And sometimes, I'm just not feeling it. But hey, you are. Let's have some fun. Let's do something fun. And, like, and generally, toys just make it quick and easy, too.
That's true.
Because, like, if I'm not in the mood, I'm always in the mood to please my partner. But if I'm not in the mood to have sex, I'm not in the mood to have sex.
Yeah.
But I am in the mood to please you.
Yeah.
And generally, toys just make it quicker.
That's true. Yeah. That's very generous.
It just is. But, like, you're still engaging together. And I know a lot of guys that feel demasculated by a toy doing a better job, but it's okay. Mm-hmm. Science has existed for thousands of years when it comes to sex toys. If you look up how long they go back, it's quite a while.
Right. Yeah, I remember seeing that.
But, like, real science has been around for like 100, 200 years.
Right.
And it's geared for one thing.
Yeah.
Just because it can do that one thing better than you doesn't mean it's better than you.
Yeah.
I've never understood that. And it's like, it's okay.
But it's still you doing it, isn't it? And your partner presumably wants you to be there.
And sex is more about the experience together than how you got there.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm a very body positive person, but imagine somebody that was born with like a 2-inch penis.
Right.
He's gonna have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
And his partner is too. But I know somebody in that line.
Yeah.
And he's become very good, very confident in his abilities with his mouth and his toys.
Excellent.
And like his partner is like, yeah, insertion is not really gonna do it for me.
Yeah.
But they're both okay with that.
Yeah.
Because like he's like, fine, but like she'll still get him off and
it
still works. And actually they're a super happy couple because of it.
That's great. Yeah.
Because he was insecure about it forever.
Oh, bless him.
But like he got over it.
Yeah.
And once he did, like he got married.
Excellent. I've always thought that must be a hard thing for a guy, no pun intended. Because obviously there's the one body part that gets so much attention as if it's the entire act.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's societally okay to call people a small dick, because I will do it too. If I see a giant lifted truck, I'm like, look at that small dick motherfucker.
That's funny.
I will do it, but
yeah,
it's not okay, because like I feel bad. Like you can't chastise somebody for the way they're born.
No.
It's not okay.
And it's not like, say, for a girl, she might be able to play up other features. I mean, I can't even think of an equivalent that would be the same. You might have a flat chest and no boobs, but then you might have a great ass. So, you know,
Yeah,
it's all
and
come
I
down
mean,
to the one thing.
well, there's just like a billion different dispositions. Because I mean, women, it comes down to like, what's your face look like?
Mm,
What's your body type like?
yeah,
What's your metabolism like?
yeah,
Like, because men are way more judgmental than women, and I'm even guilty of it sometimes. Because like, I still want that physical connection.
right.
Because if I am not internally turned on in here,
Mm,
I can't turn it off, and sex isn't as good because my brain
yeah,
is saying no.
yeah, yeah.
And it's a lot better than it used to be. But like it's still an internal part, and I think that a lot of that is society.
Mm,
Because I think you're bred in society to say this is a beautiful person,
mm,
and I think if this is up, excuse me, society moves away from that and kind of appreciates all of the different body types, I think it won't be so awkward
mm,
because I've been personally like trying to get my mind wrapped around like, and I'm actually really high on this now, is I like unique attributes.
right.
It's like you have this quirky smile, you have a mole here, or just
Right.
something atypical that isn't generally desirable, but you find it endearing.
Mm, yeah, yeah. That's nice.
And like that takes a lot of work, but like when you look for something beautiful in somebody, usually you find it.
Right. Yeah, because I suppose that is the myth, isn't it? That guys are very much more looks oriented. They will be looking for a girl who looks.
I don't think it's a myth. I
Not
think
a
it's
myth.
absolutely true. But
I think it's
there's sample
too.
sizes because you're more likely to see an ugly dude with a hot chick than you are to see an ugly chick with a hot dude.
That's because a lot of girls look great. I think.
Well, I would
It's
agree
just
with
hard
that
to go
statement,
around.
but like,
Actually, it's hard to think of an ugly woman. There must be some, but yeah, most of them look fantastic in some way.
yeah, everybody looks fantastic in some way, but I think you and I are different.
Yeah.
If we walk down the Bourbon Street right now
Right.
and grab frat boy number 7, and we said point out another girl, it wouldn't take him 30 seconds.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but like you say, you need to look beneath or look for something unusual rather
Yeah.
than just like that cookie cutter kind of style.
'Cause
But you can't help what turns you on, I guess.
you can't.
No one can.
Trust me, I tried.
Oh my goodness, that sounds like a story.
Like, one of my biggest regrets, I guess, is somebody that just, like, physically did not turn me on, but she was such a cool person
Right.
and caring and, like, had a lot
Mm.
to offer. And for whatever reason, I couldn't get over it. And then I ended up breaking it off with her, but I still think about it all the time.
Wow.
She gave me my best birthday actually ever.
Oh.
And I still have the birthday gift.
That's lovely.
And it was, she bought me make your own beer class. So like they taught you how to make beer, and then you made your own beer.
Nice.
And then she worked at a company that made labels, so she made me a personalized label.
Wow.
And I'll show you the beer actually
I'd
when
love
we
to
go
see
out
it.
here in a second.
Yeah, that's very thoughtful.
I still have the last one, but like we made all that magical birthday, and I couldn't get over it. And it wasn't even a month after. But at that point, I was so tail to my legs because I was so shallow. And then I met her like a year later, and she found the love of her life, and I'm happy. I'm like, great,
Yeah.
because I don't deserve you at that point. Like, I was shallow, but that was a good thing for me because I grew from that experience.
I don't know if it's
I realized
shallow.
I was shallow in that moment. Whether you think I'm shallow now, different story, but I was definitely shallow in that moment.
I mean, I don't know. I think you're being hard on yourself because it is a big part. If you don't find somebody attractive, it's really difficult to have great sex with them or any sex. And unless you're going to just be best friends, sex is, I don't know. I wouldn't say that's shallow. Maybe that's fair.
It's just weird. Like, I don't know. It just sounds just so good. There was just parts that's like, but
Yeah.
I think we're gonna call it for the night.
Fantastic.
Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you come back.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that's been great. I've really learned a lot, and I found it very interesting. Thank you. And hopefully, other people will take some of that advice and use it to apply it to their dating lives.
Take it with a grain of salt. Like, take the experience and expand upon it yourself.
Right.
Use your own mind to take the good and the bad things, and not taking anything too seriously because we're just here having fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And let us know what you think as well. So that is the first.
Yeah, give me a dirty comment. Say something mean, please. I love those.
Oh, really? So...
Be visceral. Like, go ham.
Wow. Okay, well, you heard the man. Exploring Dorian fans. That's what we want. Dirty comments, very visceral. But no dick pics, thank you. I don't think I'm answering the market.
No more dick pics. I've had a lifetime's worth.
I've had a few.